Good evening, folks. Welcome along to your Rangers Rabble Women's Show on a Monday evening. My name's Brian, and I'm joined tonight by Laura. Laura, how are we?
I was quite happy after seeing that we could score some goals in the opening part there, but yeah, not great otherwise.
Yeah, it's been a few games since we've seen that happening. Yeah, absolutely. Demi, how are we?
Yesterday's result aside, I'm all right. Yourself?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good, thanks. Wolf?
I refer you to my answer of this time 7 days ago.
Yes, it's not been the best, no, I must admit.
No, it
So
hasn't.
yes, here we are. We are reacting to Rangers versus Hibernian Women, and the score was Rangers 0, Hibs 3. Laura, 2 weeks in a row. 0 goals, 6 conceded, 2 3-0 losses. Where on earth do we start here?
Pass. It's just no good enough. I think it's probably the first time that I can even remember us losing 2 games kind of back to back, never mind in the manner that we've lost them. The Glasgow City game, you can kind of get over because, as bad as it is, they're one of the teams that are kind of fighting for the league. But yesterday was just absolutely atrocious. Like there's just no excuses that you can make for that. It was just absolutely awful from start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, Demi, it's not really it's a difficult one because they've started so well, and then for the last 2 games, it just seems as though they've forgotten how to play football.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Cara Laura that said it at the game yesterday. Why did we mess with the team that we had last season, the start of this season, that were comfortably winning games, changing the team every week to now struggling to win the games?
Yeah, Wolf. I mean, it's glaring in all this now that there's things getting changed a little bit too much for a lot of people's liking, and I'm afraid the results are showing now, aren't they?
Yeah, I have to say it's quite funny that Demi's frozen with her eyes closed. It looks like she's actually fallen asleep, but she's obviously still awake because she did answer your question there. She is doing it from her car, streaming it off her phone, to be fair, because she stepped in at the last minute. So,
Yes.
no, fair play to her for stepping up. So,
Apologies.
yeah, it's Brian. It's horrendous. It's just, I mean, I wasn't at the Glasgow City game, obviously, because like you, I was at Hampden last week, but I did see most of it live at the time prior to the game, and it didn't look good. Yesterday was just horrendous. It was different level poor. I mean, the scariest thing about yesterday was Hibs thoroughly deserved that, and 5-0 wouldn't have flattered them. It was just, I mean, it was absolutely horrendous. Demi, you might want to log out and log back in again.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely horrendous. It was just, apart from a couple of fairly tame shots by Charlie Devlin in the early doors, I don't think we had a shot and goal. Maybe in 1 second half, but we had absolutely nothing. I mean, my theory of a few weeks ago that we can't play when it's a really, really, really bad wind, I can't even use that as an excuse because we were absolutely dreadful. We were so poor, it's not real.
I mean, Laura, where does Joe start? Like, say, today's or tomorrow when training starts. They've lost their assistant manager now. Jay Bradford left the club. There's been a lot of changes in the coaching staff, I believe. So, things don't seem to be very rosy in the camp, do they?
No, that's the one for their festive kind of break. So they're going to have to sit on that result for quite a few weeks and kind of mull over. And I think Nick Dock and her post-match kind of said they're going to need to kind of look at themselves in the mirror and really look at where the mistakes are going, because it's a lot of individual mistakes as well as collectively as a team that they all just seem to, for 2 weeks in a row, they all just seem to have been like having a bad day. You can't have a bad day like 2 weeks in a row. It's just ridiculous. But here we are, 2 kind of defeats. Obviously, Jay leaving's was a shock. I don't think any has seen that coming. So that she's going to be a big miss. It'll be interesting to see who kind of comes in and replaces her. But obviously, it's kind of like Joe's right hand woman that was kind of seemed to be really liked in the team. The fans all liked her and that. So there seems to be a lot of changes, but it doesn't seem to be for the better, which isn't great when you're wanting to challenge for trophies and obviously the league.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at the team, Demi, there's only really one sort of player that two maybe that didn't feature last season. You've got Leah Eddy that came in from Hibs and Charlie Devlin came on loan. So 9 out of that 11 that started against Hibs were there this last season. So it's a very strange one for me. Formations are changing quite a lot now. Personnel's changing a lot now. Is it a case of just going back to square one where we started at the start of the season against Aberdeen and the teams we were putting lots of goals past, and just going back to square one?
I mean, Laura's going to be fed up hearing me say this, but why you're not starting with your best team, I don't know. You've got the league's top goal scorer on the bench. Mia McCauley, arguably our fastest winger, never starts against top 6 teams. And she brings her on and expects, what is she, 18, 19, 18, I believe? Go out there and make an impact. You can't just expect one player to come on and be like, oh, go do this. Play her from the start. Why you're not playing Katie Wilkinson, I'll never know. A team we struggle to score against, and our top goal scorer, in fact, the league's top goal scorers on the bench. And I think it was Dad who said yesterday, you've got a left back who's playing at centre back, a right back, sorry, who's playing at centre back, and you're just playing players all out of position.
Yeah, well, it's baffling, as I say. They're trying to shoehorn Jodie McCleary into this right back position or sort of right wing back position. You've got three central midfielders on the pitch. You've only got one winger starting yesterday. It does seem a bit disjointed, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Jodie's had a go at being a wing back and trying that against the teams that we should be beating, the lower half teams even Motherwell, who we struggled against, the Motherwell's, Montrose's, Aberdeen's, Queen's Park, teams like that. That's fine because Jodie won't be bothered too much at the back. But I mean, effectively yesterday we played Hibs, who they're not great, but they're not a bad side, right? Mm-hmm. With one centre half, and it was Cathy Hill. You know what I mean? Because Leah Eddy's a fullback and she's playing at centre half. You know what I mean? So Cathy's trying to watch her, which means she can't cover Nick Dock if Nick goes up the park, right? So when Jodie goes up the park, which wasn't very often yesterday, Leah's trying to cover her, and then Cathy's trying to cover the whole back line. You know what I mean? It just makes no sense. And then if Joe wants to persist with Leah Eddy and turn her into a centre half, that's fine. We've got a right back on the bench. Put her on. Start Ailey Austin. You know what I mean? Because that's her position. She must be sitting looking at it and going, what have I got to do? You know what I mean? And when talking about that, you've got the Northern Ireland international captain who's a centre half sitting on the bench going, hang on, we've got a fullback playing centre half here, and I can't get a game, and we're leaking goals like a sieve. You know what I mean? I don't understand what she's trying to do. You can't. I mean, as you pointed out last week or the week before, right? In fact, Alan pointed out we were a goal away for treble last season, playing a certain formation, which we only changed in the cup final. Now the formation's all over the place. I mean, we posted the team up in the group chat yesterday. The first thing Alan said was, I'll try and work out the formation. And I've sat and watched the game with Alan, Laura, Karen, Demi, right? We still don't know what the formation was. Not a clue. They're just all over the place. I mean, you've got the second goal comes because our number 9 gets the ball off the goalkeeper. I mean, Kirsty Hewitt got the ball off the keeper, then turned into trouble, and we lost the goal because of it. Your number 9 should never be that far back when you're in a transition attack, starting an attack. It's absolutely baffling. Kirsty McLean was trying to beat the midfield on her own because she had no support. Everybody seemed to be running away from her when she had the ball. You know what I mean? And every time she beat a player, she then turned into trouble because somebody else was there. It was just, I don't know. I've absolutely no idea what. I mean, I've titled this "What's Gone Wrong," and I've got absolutely no idea what's going wrong. I'm looking for inspiration from people that know more about it than me.
I mean, this one for me, Laura, I don't know if anybody can answer this question, but why is Wilco not getting played in games like this? I mean, she's as Debbie said earlier, she's the top scorer in the league. She always comes up with a goal somewhere. The fact you don't start her is very bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, I think she did struggle against Glasgow City, never really offered much, but I don't think that justifies her getting dropped altogether when there was other players that struggled and then they got to keep their places. But it's a game that she would probably have done really well in, but then you're not playing the wingers where they should be. You're playing too many players out of position, so we weren't able to really create anything. So I think even if Wilco was on, she's not a player that's going to create something to then go and score. So she needs kind of somebody to do that for her, and then she just puts it away. And we weren't creating anything because, as Demi said, we've got like Mia on the bench, Brogan's on the bench, who are their best kind of wingers. So Lizzie was the only one natural winger on the pitch, and even she was struggling to kind of create it. And so Wilco, whether she was going to be on or not, there was nothing getting created for her forwards anyway. It was just an absolute shambles all over the pitch. We wanted to create anything, we couldn't keep the defence, couldn't keep goals out. So it was just an absolute mess.
See, Brian, Paul makes a good point here as well. And this ties into what Laura was just saying. Rio couldn't get involved yesterday. We weren't creating chances yesterday, right? And Rio is a bit like Wilco, doesn't really create stuff for herself. Whereas Kirsty Howard buzzes about, tries to create stuff for herself, which is possibly why Kirsty did 90 minutes. You know what I mean? And as I say, was back picking the ball up from the goalkeeper, which ultimately costs us a goal, but at least she's trying to get involved in the game. That's more her game. I said yesterday, with about 10 minutes to go, we could have had Cristiano Ronaldo or Kenny Dalglish up front yesterday, right? Wouldn't have scored because we didn't make any chances. I can hardly remember us touching the ball in the box because there's so many players playing out of position. There's no, as Flora says, one winger on the park, easy to nullify because you can nullify Lizzie by just standing somebody on her because she's got nobody in support. She's got nothing to do with the ball. You know what I mean? Because we're all lopsided and there's nobody immediately behind her either. So I just don't understand what Joe's trying to do.
No, it is quite alarming. I'll go through the team yesterday, Demi. Vic Essen was in goal. Back three, sort of four of Jodie McCleary, Cathy Hill, Leah Eddy, and Nick Docherty. In midfield of Chelsea Cornet, Charlie Devlin, Kirsty McLean, Lizzie Arnott, and then Roya Hardy and Kirsty Howard up front. So when you look at that, there's plenty of experience there, Demi. There's plenty, people that have been over the course and won leagues and won cups and stuff. That was still more than enough to win the game yesterday. Well, should have been more than enough to win the game yesterday.
Well, yeah, you'd think, but also when you're playing these players who played not even so much for so long, but a large chunk of last season out of position. I mean, why you're putting your attacking midfielder, why any was basically playing centre back. Anyone can find an answer. I'd love to know because none of us at the game knew why she's playing there. It's all good and well having experienced players there, but if nobody feels comfortable where they're playing, you'd be as well picking 11 randomers off the street. Doesn't matter how long they've played for. If they're not playing in a position that they feel comfortable in with players round about them that they're used to, it's no use.
No, it really isn't, Laura. So we'll try and make the best of this sort of analysis. But the first goal is only after about 6 or 7 minutes, and a ball through from the left back. Cathy seemed to be dealing with it and then left it, and the player behind her sneaked in and chipped it over the goalie, and that was 1-0.
Yeah, it's just a total lack of communication. Yet again, it's like we never learned our lessons for the week before when the first goal was just a total lack of communication as well. And I think constant changing of the goalkeepers, which we've spoken about so many times the past couple of seasons, it just doesn't help, because the defence doesn't have any confidence clearly in either of the goalkeepers because it chops and changes so much, so they're not actually getting to build that kind of relationship with the one goalkeeper because they're probably going to expect them to kind of be out the next again week. So I think that just kind of sums us up. Joe's trying to just change things too often, and it's just leading to mistakes constantly because players just aren't feeling comfortable, or I don't know if she's giving them too much instructions or whatever. Like she's wanting us to play out for the back, but nobody's kind of seems comfortable at that as well. So it's just I don't know what's going on, honestly.
I mean, Laura, from when you're sitting in the stands, is Jo doing anything different? Is she still as loud and as communicative like she normally was, or is there anything that you can sort of see from just being a fan that's sort of changed?
I think yesterday she was quite vocal again, but against Glasgow City she was quite quiet, I would say, compared to what we're kind of used to. She was just kind of standing as if she had told them what to do and kind of was hoping for the best, and then when it all kind of fell apart, she was like not really as vocal or that as she usually was. But yesterday she was kind of back to being quite vocal on that again, but then it still not worked. So I don't know if it's an unhappy camp or if there's just issues there or whatever, but there's something just really not right for them to go for nearly winning a treble last season to starting well this season. We thought this is going to be great, and then it's just totally fell apart the past couple of weeks.
Yeah,
Brian, I'll ask John Weir's question to you, seeing as you're the question master, so I'll ask this one to you. Do you think that Joe tinkers with the start lineup too much? Because we had a big discussion about this at the game yesterday. So what do you think she's messing about with it too much?
I think she is, absolutely. There's no relationships getting built or consistently getting built. You've got your defence changing quite regularly. We've spoke about the goalies getting changed regularly. For me, you need a team that is playing consistently together, as in, if the team wins 6-0 one week, right? You start with the same team the next week because, let's be honest, they've done well. They deserve their spots. The only time I would encourage sort of using the squad and changing things up is if you're playing a lower sort of standard team, like say down the bottom of the league, or you play a championship team in the cup like we did up at West Dyke. That's the sort of games that you would experiment with other players and use the squad and give other players, other sort of first team players a rest. But for me, she's definitely changing things far too much now. And as Demi and all you guys have said, they don't seem comfortable in the positions they're being asked to play now. As we've all seen and watched, they played a certain way last year, and as Laura says, they were a ball or a goal away from winning a treble. So things surely weren't needed to be tinkered that much.
But Brian, Laura, sorry, that's the whole thing. Went to West Dyke and played a really, really strong team. And as Brian says, that was the opportunity to not play a strong team. I mean, last season for me, I could have got this completely wrong, but for me, she used the squad really well. She was given a sort of equal amount of game time by starting somebody playing them for an hour, and then the finishing team started the next team, and then the next time sort of thing. And just a bit like what you were saying, Brian, but the team that finished was the team that started the next week, more or less, and then the team that finished that game started the following game, kind of more or less. So everybody was getting an equal amount of game time, but now it seems mental. She's not even using all her subs again. Only 4 subs yesterday.
But I think on that, maybe is she trying too hard to give everyone equal minutes? Is this why she's changing the starting 11 every week? But then also Jay's leaving, as we discussed earlier, has come out of nowhere. Is that got something to have her and Joe had a fallout? Is that something to do with why we're playing so bad and why Jay's leaving? Because it seems a very strange time in the season after we struggle to beat Motherwell. We then lose to Glasgow City, and then it's announced that she's leaving. I don't know. It just seems the timing of it's a bit strange for me.
Well, for me, sorry, Brian. For me, the timing, it's coming when we've got a 3-week break, so at least it gives them time to bring in a replacement to sort out some continuity. But I know what you mean, Demi. It is a bit white. It seems to have coincided with the form falling off a cliff. I'm hoping it's just a coincidence. Or, Laura, as you said, is Jay that important to what we do?
We'll soon find it, I suppose, in the after the break. But the thing is, we go into quite a decent run after the break. So we've got Queen's Park and then Celtic, but after that, it's the kind of games that we should be winning quite comfortably again. So then it kind of might build the kind of confidence in that again. And to be fair, the way we play against Celtic, we'll probably be fine in that game because they seem to kind of up their game in that anyway. So I'm not even that worried about it, even with the way our form is, because we seem to be able to get up. Because I think the Celtic game recently was one of our best performances, and we thought, great, this is us back. And then after that, they've just been on a bit of a downward spiral, getting a couple of results in that, but then obviously the past few weeks we've not been able to maintain it. So hopefully we manage to get somebody in that can do what Jay has been done or better and kind of start getting us back where we should be. But I suppose it remains to be seen. But hopefully we get back on track soon, because the team's just not recognisable compared to what we've been watching the past couple of seasons.
Yeah, I mean, Debbie, when you look at the midfield, for example, the engine room, For me, the three that should be in there is Kirsty McLean, Chelsea Cornet, and Liv McLaughlin. That is your three out-and-out best players, without a doubt. Liv was missing yesterday. No, not even on the bench. So you've got two out of the three that you would consider your first choice sort of midfield centre players. But then then for no reason, Liv's just not there, and everybody's scratching their head wondering what's happened.
Well, someone, again, I don't know how true it is because it hasn't come from Rangers. Someone was saying yesterday that they were speaking to Liv and her mum last week, and Liv was saying that she's picked up a knock. So she was playing it safe, and she was taking it easy at training. She'll be back in January. How true that is, I don't know. But that's seeming to be the most popular rumour at the moment, that she's picked up a wee knock. But in terms of Innie and Chelsea, we do have to remember Chelsea's first game back was only a couple of weeks ago. Okay, Innie's been back for a bit longer, but she's still just back from injury. And I don't think we can play them too much. But then we've all said, like we said at the start of the season, I can't remember the game now, when you just seen Liv McLaughlin's face every time that substitute board went up and her name wasn't on it, it's no surprise that Liv has picked up a knock. We ran her into the ground for the first few months of ran her into the ground. So that was always going to come. But I think in terms of the other two, we're going to have to be careful because, well, we have to play them in the right position for a start and not just have Innie basically in at centre back. But we can't play them for too long because they are going to end up injured again. But I do agree with you, fully fit, they are our best three midfielders. And I don't know what she's seen in Cammy Devlin, to be honest with you.
Demi showed the innocence of youth because she played more as a sweeper than a centre back, but Demi would know what a sweeper was. And Cammy Devlin plays with Hearts.
Oh, Charlie Devlin, sorry.
I mean, well, before even half time, Hibs could have been 2-0 up. The fullback went through and hit the post. So even before half time, it could have been 2-0.
It could have been 3. It could have been 3-0 if that one had gone in, because they had another really good chance as well that just went past from memory, because obviously there hasn't been any highlights to refresh our memory, which I'm quite glad about because I won't need to watch them now. Because I mean, my recollection of the third goal is fairly sketchy because I wasn't paying that much attention, because by then I think chucked it by then. And don't ask Demi about the third goal because she went to the toilet to try and inspire us scoring a goal and it worked the other way. So, but yeah, it could quite easily. As I said at the start, Brian, the most galling thing for me is Hibs deserve to win, and they probably deserve to win by more, and that's horrible to have to admit that. That's horrible, but that's a fact. You can't sugarcoat it. We had a couple of shots from Cammy Devlin early doors.
I meant Charlie.
you know now, Debbie, he's not going to let you away with that ever.
I think one in the second half that the wind caught and the keeper nearly made a mess of. But apart from that, we just won the races. It was horrendous. It was almost as bad as the weather, to be honest.
But I think their goals speak volume. When I think it was the goal that made it 1-0 and the one that hit the post, both of them were from defenders. Now, come on.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be letting defenders score against us.
No, certainly not. I mean, Laura, that, as Aldo was just saying there, the thing with Hibs weren't lucky. They dominated Rangers. Now, as you said earlier, the Glasgow City game, you can kind of take a little bit from that and say, okay, they're our main sort of competition between them and Celtic, so you can take that one on the chin. But yesterday was a different kettle of fish. Hibs aren't really, you would never consider them title contenders. So to be dominated by a team that's not looking to win or not, in the running to win the league, that's starting to, that's a worry now, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's obviously at home as well. Like, you didn't expect that, but we always, like, even recently, we struggled against them at Meadowbank. So the warning signs were kind of there that they were going to try and kind of get a result over us, and we didn't seem to have learned from that. More lucky to get a draw at Meadowbank the last time. So it just seems to be that we're making mistakes but not learning from them, which is worrying when obviously we're eventually going to get to like the split when we're playing these teams obviously week in, week out, and we're struggling to beat them throughout the season. So it's just worrying where we could end up in the table if we didn't start getting these results consistently, because we're just no. Alan had a stat which I can't actually remember now, but we've not got very many points this season from the games against Hibs. I think Wolf's got it, to be fair.
I've got it. Nine points from 21 against the other teams in the top 5.
Which is just...
Is that any surprise, though, when we're benching our best players when we play the top 5?
You've got a right problem with that, haven't you?
I just don't understand. I just don't understand in what world of football do you play the hardest team you're going to play and put out a B team? Well, not a B team, but a weaker team. I just don't get it.
Debbie, do you want me to throw the analogy I gave you in the Carlo Road yesterday? You remember? Somebody said to me last week, I saw something last week, somebody was talking about giving their mum a break from Christmas dinner, from cooking Christmas dinner. And they said, in your biggest fixture of the season, you don't bench your best player. So that's a similar analogy. That's one of the toughest games of the season. And you're benching your top goal scorer for a start. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're benching one of your most creative, fastest, both your fastest wingers. Because we all love Lizzie, her crosses and brilliant, but the other two are a lot quicker than her. You know what I mean? Brogan and Maya and me are a lot quicker than her. You know what I mean? So that was what the thing that I saw. You know, you don't take your mum off Christmas dinner because it's the biggest game of the season, and you're asking her to sit it out. So one of the biggest games of the season, you don't sit out your main striker or a proper centre half. Or it's just really frustrating. It really is.
Raf's going to be sitting on that bench, wondering A, why she signed at this point, and B, what she's got to do to get a game.
Absolutely. And then the second goal, Laura, we try and work it out from the back. The ball's lost in the sort of middle of our half, and the striker sees Essen off the line and just over the top of her, and that's 2-0.
Yeah, it was a cracking strike for like we were sitting, but as Wolf mentioned earlier, for Kirsty Howitt to be going that deep to try and get the ball to play it for the back is just ridiculous. Like, that's nowhere she should be at all. And it was just, again, another calamity that the defence couldn't deal with once the ball kind of broke back to them and they get the strike away. And as much as it was a good goal, it's disappointing to then lose another goal like that as well, when it all comes through mistakes rather than them actually working a good bit of play and getting a good goal. It's all, we just keep handing teams chances rather than them actually working for it and getting the goals.
Yeah, and then Wolf the third just sort of rounded off the horrendous day that it was. Striker, well, fullback actually, left fullback going through and scoring. They
were just walking through as it will. Like you say, at the end, but it could have been double what it was. It could have been 5 or 6 very, very easily. And they were just walking. I mean, for a change, we can't blame the goalkeeper for any of the goals because Vic was at fault for none of the 3 goals, which is unusual for us. It's normally a goalkeeper sells at least one of the goals, and it was just off, just a bad day at the office. And for me, you put square pegs in square holes, and then if you don't have any more square pegs, you put a round peg in the hole that's left. You don't put round pegs in half the square holes. You know what I mean? You play players where they need to play. And then if you don't have somebody for the position that you've got left, then put somebody in there that can possibly do their job there. I don't understand why Joe's thinking about it so much. I know the big scores have dried up because teams have sussed us out. It happens every season, you know. And it doesn't just happen with us. You'll get Glasgow City, you'll get Celtic, even Hearts and Hibs to an extent against the smaller teams, scoring barrel loads of goals in the first time they play them. Then they get wise to it. They say, well, this is how they play, so we can do this to match up against them. So yeah, you've got to try and counter that, but you don't do it to the detriment of your own performance. You know, you still need to win the game. I mean, as somebody pointed out, we're now second on goal difference. You know, when JD says we're crazy now, we're second on goal difference. I mean, we're only
1 point ahead of Hearts.
Yeah, but we're second in the goal difference, second best goal difference.
Yeah.
Right. The only reason we're a point ahead of Hearts is they drew with Motherwell. If they beat Motherwell, they were second, we were third. If Celtic win their 2 games in hand, we go even further back. Mm-hmm. So if you're giving Celtic their 2 games in hand as wins, and Hearts hadn't beat Motherwell, we're fourth.
Yeah.
A week and a half ago, we were top of the league.
Yeah.
That's how quickly it changes. It's absolutely mental. It's absolutely mental.
Yeah, and just saying the league, Glasgow City are on 44 points, 65 goals scored. Rangers second on 39 points, 61 goals scored. Hearts are third, 38 points, 51 goals scored. Hibs played one game less, 36 points, 39 goals scored. 39 goals scored, and Celtic played 15, 35 points plus 40. So there's a lot. Demi, if Celtic win their games in hand, they'll be on 41 points. Hibs win their game, they'll be tied with us on the same points. So, it's getting awfully tight considering how well we were doing it, a few weeks ago.
I mean, yeah, it is, but at the moment it's a whole lot of ifs. If they win. I mean, it's football, like you never know. And like I said to Dad yesterday, Glasgow City didn't start the season great. We started it well, we're now not doing so well. No, sorry, Celtic didn't start too great. Now they're picking up form. We started well, now we're thinking Glasgow City will hit a dip in form. It happens to every team every season. And it's obviously really not an ideal situation to be in given 2 weeks ago. We're not even at Christmas yet. There's a long, long way to go, and it's a whole lot of if this person wins. There's no guarantee that any of these teams are going to win these games that we're talking about.
No, very true.
David, you are definitely your father's daughter, without any question. The optimism and the way you framed the optimism. But Brian, I'm sorry you jump in again, but Paul makes a great point in the comments as well that you highlighted, that the pace against us is worrying. It's actually frightening, because for me, Laura, yesterday, one of the problems for me yesterday was it wasn't even we're centre half playing at centre half that was controlling the line. It wasn't Cathy that was controlling the line. It was Leah, and Leah clearly can't control the line, because how many times did she play them on side?
Yes, and I think it's just because she's no used to playing that position, but you'd want then Cathy to kind of step up and kind of be guiding her in that. But then you also have Jodie in there, it's not even her natural position. So there's too many players that just are struggling with the positions that Joe's obviously asking them to play. And then teams have realised that we struggle with pace, so they're coming at us with pace, and as soon as they come at us, the back line just crumbles, and we're gifting goals. Obviously, 6 in the last 2 games, when we could go for long enough without conceding, and then we just start conceding. Because even against West Ham, obviously it was a free kick, but it was a mix-up in the back line where we're just not taking responsibility and kind of expecting somebody else to do it, and then we end up giving away goals. It's something that we really need to rectify quickly.
Yeah, very much. Now, this is a question that came in. I'll try and find it. Yeah, this is it. Do you think we'll get any new players in January, and what do you think we need? I mean, our squad's pretty stacked. It's pretty stacked sort of squad we've got, guys, and I would suggest players would have to leave before we'd sign anyone. We've got an awful lot of players on the books. We've got guys on loan. We've got Laura Berry, and we've other players on loan. So I mean, is it a case of maybe recalling a couple of them? I don't know. But I don't really see us signing anybody in January. I don't know about you guys.
Brian, I don't think there'd be a recall option on any of them. I don't know, but I don't imagine there'll be a recall option on any of them. If there was, I'd get Laura Berry back in a heartbeat. I know Carr would be delighted about that. Carr, who's currently somewhere on the 89 heading back to Thursday. But I mean, I'd get Laura Berry back in a heartbeat if I could. But we possibly need to ship players out. I mean, quite what Joe sees in Devlin, I've got no idea. Absolutely no idea. She started off a couple of good games when she first came in, but that brings nothing to the party for me. You know what I mean? So can we put her back? Is there an option to ditch her in January because she's only on loan? Again, I've got no idea. But you're right. The squad's too big to bring folk in without shipping folk out. Is Laura Rafferty going to want to stay about? Because as I pointed out earlier, Northern Irish centre half captain of our country, can he get a game in that defence?
I mean, Laura, do you see anything moving in or out, or just anything happening in January at all?
It would be nice to get a nice shiny new goalkeeper in that can actually play with their feet and save shots and target. That'd be nice, but I can't see it happening. But also, Joe seems to like Devlin and is playing her ahead. They like to Megan Bell and that who are her actual players. So I kind of see her kind of getting shipped back to the road by Joe, because Joe seems to kind of like her as much as she frustrates us, and we could have our own players ahead of her. I don't think any of the loanees will come back. They're doing quite well. They're getting minutes. And I would be worried that we bring Laura Benny back and then she just doesn't get any game time anyway, whereas she's getting game time at Motherwell now and doing really well with it. So I think she kind of needs that experience there. But I can't really see us bringing anybody in unless we get rid of some players. And whether the only reason I think players will go is if they're unhappy, which maybe a few will. I could see Megan Bell potentially asking to go on loan again because she's managed to come back for multiple injuries, and when she plays, she gives it everything, but it doesn't seem to be enough for Joe. So she's bound to be getting frustrated at this point. Getting game time no matter how good she does. So if anything, I could see her maybe going it, but otherwise, I don't think there'll be much kind of coming and going.
The simple fact of the last part of his question, that guy's question of what do we need? We need to find our strongest starting 11, play them, stop changing it, and play players where they want to play. Quite simply, it's that simple. Play your strongest team and play your players in their positions.
Yeah, pretty much what we were doing at the start of the season, guys.
Yeah.
You know, that team at the start of the season was cooking. They were scoring goals. They were keeping clean sheets. Everything was, everything looked, swimmingly then. And I'm amazed that she's deviated from that or tried to, change things up so drastically, considering how many goals we were scoring and the amount that we weren't conceding. That was the bonus. We weren't just winning goals by a lot of, a hefty amount. We were keeping the clean sheet as well. So that was the good thing. So it's almost, for me, it's back to basics and go back to what you knew that all the players can do. As Demi's saying, play all the players in their positions and get them back to what they were doing.
Well, it's not even the fact that we're keeping clean sheets, right? Well, we're keeping the only time we were losing goals we were getting beat by Wormleys. It wasn't, we weren't giving goals away. Laura said earlier on, Hibs didn't need to work hard for any of their 3 goals yesterday. Glasgow City didn't need to work particularly hard last week for the 3 goals that they got. We're giving goals away. That's the difference. You know what I mean, West Dyke scored a goal against us. It was a decent hit. You can accept that from anybody.
Yeah.
Teams. If it's a worldie, it's a worldie. There's not much you can do about that. It doesn't matter what level of football or what the gulf between the two teams. If somebody hits a worldie, there's not really a lot you can do about it. We're giving goals away. Absolutely gifting teams goals.
Yeah. Teams don't fear playing us anymore like they used to. Teams come and they know how we play or how we're supposed to play, whether that's how we're playing or not. But they're not scared to play us. They'll come, they'll attack. You used to see them just come and sort of sit back, barring maybe the top 3 or 4 teams. Like even going back to that Partick Thistle game, they had a go at us. No one, even the bottom half teams, aren't scared to play us anymore.
Yeah. And as Cara, as we mentioned, Cara is currently hurtling up the A9 somewhere, or maybe is up at Thursday. No, I don't know. But Cara, evening, folks. Sorry for the absence tonight. I'm just popping in to wish everyone a Merry Christmas when it comes. Absolutely, yes. And just before we go, everybody on the Rangers Women's Show, Alan, who can't be here with us tonight, Demi, Laura, and Wolf would all like to wish you a good Merry Christmas when it comes. I hope you spend it with everybody that you want, and hope you're in the good books with Santa and you get everything you want. Wolf?
Yeah, I'll sorry, I was waiting for you to direct that at somebody or somebody else jump in. I'll say, yeah. I mean, I'm not the most Christmassy person in the world, as my daughter, who's sitting in her car at the moment, will attest to. But yeah, Merry Christmas to Cara and everybody in the comments, especially the regulars that we've got in. A special Christmas shout out to Yai Zhen, who posted at the start of the show. Not sure if he's still watching from Thailand at Papa's 1 in the morning. That's ludicrous. That's above and beyond the Call of Duty. But yeah, to everybody, Paul, Aldo, JD, all the usual contributors. Obviously to yourselves, guys. Have a good Christmas. Hope Santa's good to you all. We will, of course, be taking a 3-week break from this because the women aren't back till the 12th of January. They get a winter break. And before we go, I'd like your opinion on that. See, after the recent performances, do you think they deserve a couple of weeks off or 10 days off or whatever it is they're getting? because
I think we need it.
myself and Demi had a bit of a discussion about it in the car going up the road last night, and our opinions differed somewhat.
I mean,
Well-
sorry, on you go, Lana.
Well, I seen that they'd obviously went out last night for like some kind of Christmas party, and my first thought was, should that have happened? And they don't deserve it. But I think they do kind of need a bit of a break, maybe not as long as the 10 days or 2 weeks or whatever it is they get. But I think they maybe need a wee break for each other and kind of come back refreshed, ready to kick on for the second half of the season. But yeah, I think they should be doing some extra sessions maybe at some point after their Christmas dinner.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything worse than, no matter what the problem is, whether the players aren't getting along, whether it's something with Joe, they've worked too hard, whatever it is, nothing good can come from being in that same environment for longer. Take a break, and we can only hope that taking that break is what it takes for them to realise, come on, we're doing something wrong here.
Absolutely. And as JD says, Merry Christmas to Brian, Laura, Demi, and Wolf. Thank you for the pods and the time that you give to everyone. Appreciated. Absolutely not a problem, JD. We love doing it. That's why we could all speak about Rangers for goodness knows how long, especially if Wolf's in the room. We could go for hours if Wolf's in here. So, but many thanks to everybody for joining us this year. As I say, we won't be back till the new year. So when Christmas comes, I hope you have a good one. When New Year comes, be good as well. My thanks to Laura. Laura, thank you.
Thank you very much, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody when it comes.
Absolutely. Demi, thank you.
No worries. Merry Christmas. Hope Sunny's good to everyone, and have a good New Year. See you in 2025.
Yeah. And Wolf, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Yes, I echo all that. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Make sure you've got the wee alarm bell on and you've liked us and subscribed and all that, because if there is any breaking news, we'll bring it to you. Don't expect there to be any, but Jay left out the blue, so you never know what they might come up with. We might suddenly sign a goalkeeper from somewhere that we've never heard of, so you never know.
Merry Christmas, when that happens.
Absolutely. So, yeah, you never know. So, yeah, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year when it comes. We'll see you all on, well, it'll be the 13th of January before we're back, because the game's on the 12th away at Queen's Park. So, yep, all the best, everybody.
Absolutely. Can't say any more than that. Happy Christmas. Have a good New Year. And we'll see you in the new year. So a happy Christmas, and I hope 2025 is good to you. Thank you very much.